Any day now.
I can't control that one.
Okay. Welcome back to the Quantum Show. After some technical hiccups, we are back. And I am, I think I've got everything right this time. I'm not going to hit end like I did before. I love all the buttons. And we get YouTube going just for observation. And let's see. Shadow, the link is in the chat for you. It is in the StreamYard chat and apparently the YouTube chat as well. So as soon as I see you pop in, I will go ahead. Well, you can let yourself in, but I can turn it on and listen too. See, he has keys to the show. It kind of happened by accident, but I was like, hey, this works. He's one of my admins anyway. Yeah, recapping on the first hour, we talked about using crystals, how they get set up, how to program a crystal, several crystals, how they communicate with each other, which is very esoteric, and it's not like you plug them together, but they kind of plug themselves together. It's all in your intent. But went over healing energy, manifestation, and got started talking about toys and pickups a teeny tiny bit. I was like, oh, no, we'll wait for Shadow. And I think Shadow is here. Somebody's here. Lynn, let me see here. Lynn, it says you are totally muted. I can't let you in. I mean, it's not. Here we go.
He was outside.
Okay. Well, come on. Dang phone. Alrighty then. You should be coming in right now. Yes, you are.
Hello.
There we are.
Hello. Welcome back, guys. Is it Lynn and Frank?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Frank's listening, I guess. I don't know if he's actually on yet. You're not going to? He says he's not going to tonight.
He doesn't like me.
Oh, he loves you.
Alrighty then. Dorothy, welcome back to this Quantum Show. I saw your post. Dorothy's in the chat. She saw that she had missed the first hour and that she'd be here now, and she is. That's awesome. Okay, I have actually edited the show to have all the relative links for the moment, and when more come up, I'm taking notes so I can put them in there. And thanks for coming back by. Dorothy, you're invited to come in too if you are up to it, but no pressure. So, obligatory like and subscribe. Links in the show description and will be in the show after if they're not there now. Okay, Chad Smith is coming back. Shadow is in the chat. I sent the link out and he should pop up at any moment now. Like a shadow and sun. Sorry. Little bit of
no, you're not.
Entry level corniness right there.
Well, Frank is having a little bit of supper. I just had mine. So he's going to monitor your YouTube.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty then. Well, that's what we went over, and it was pretty interesting. And Keith, I got to say, we are vibing on a lot of different frequencies at the same time. Can't say, and I got to discuss a couple of things with you about things that you have said in the past on other shows. Dave's show, right? Spaced Out Radio. Shout out, Spaced Out Radio. There's a shout out for you, Dave. Yeah, I wanted to discuss with you the issue of time travel. Okay? And
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
your perspective on it. And also the perspective of the off-worlders talking to you about time travel. Okay?
No, it's actually quite simple.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, you can absolutely do. You can jump forward in time without a problem at all. The problem is getting back, because in no circumstance can you go backwards in time. You can look back, you can observe what happened and get the real time events, but you cannot go back.
Understood. And here's my issue with that. And I do have an issue with it. And this is just okay. People in the audience, we are not fighting. We are discussing. I am not picking on Keith. He is not bashing me. We are all Hakuna Matata here. This is the Quantum Show, and this is what we do. So roll with it. My issue is energy. Energy makes up all of time and space.
This is correct.
Energy. Okay. Now, let me just get this out there, right?
Sure.
Energy makes up all of time and space. Matter is an illusion programmed in by the reality that we are in right now. So, energy can be manipulated, observed, and put back where it was supposed to go because energy kind of fits where energy seems to fit. It's like the path of least resistance in electricity, right? Okay. And we are at a nexus point here, the here and now. We're creating the future. 2 seconds ago is in the past. Now, 2 seconds ago is also in the past. And we are traveling forward along a preset method of doing it, a preset rate. We all agree on the rate, and therefore time passes. Now, my issue is this. That conflicts with energy being observable and modifiable at all points. And I understand that you got this information from the off-worlders. And I took from that, they're telling you what you want to know, what they want you to know. Okay, Shadow is joining in.
What's happening, guys?
Hey, Shadow, how we doing?
Hey, you walked in on it tonight, dude. You walked in on it.
Hi, Shadow.
I'm challenging our Keith and time travel.
Well, there's a little bit of a discrepancy.
Okay, well, fill me in. And
well, number one, we'll start with where we jive, if you will.
Okay.
Okay. Energy is what everything is made out of. Absolutely. Time does progress forward at a static rate, but it's not the rate that we agreed upon. It was the rate that was set up.
Okay.
That would be to start with.
Okay.
Secondly, matter itself is not an illusion. When you slow energy down far enough, it becomes solid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in matter itself, the molecules in matter are still moving.
Right.
Okay. Even when you take a look at, for instance, water, you can slow water right down to the point that it becomes ice, but that ice still flows.
Yes.
Okay.
It has changed forms. Go ahead.
Changed forms, but it's still going the same direction. And granted, because it's changed forms, it now travels slower.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And
that part is all very, very much the case.
Okay. We both agree on that, and that is not where my issue lies. Continue. Go ahead.
The hiccup is I didn't get the information from the off-worlders. I got the information from before the off-worlders came.
Okay.
Yeah, that throws a wrench
That
into it.
yes, it does. Because what? Let me tell you where I was going. Right? They have a better handle on time, space, energy than we do on a one-on-one basis. We have to use machines and instruments to measure these things.
So do
And
they.
okay, well, they're more in tune with their stuff than we are with our stuff. Hold on a second. Somebody is knocking on the door.
The Dorothy?
Dorothy. Dorothy, did you let her in?
No.
Buttons. Okay.
Howdy, Dorothy. What's up, Cal? Who
Hi,
else we
Dorothy
got in
guys.
here
is
tonight?
in the
Good to
room.
see you.
Hi,
You too.
Dorothy.
Hey, Storm and Shadow.
Wait a minute. I'm looking at.
Frank says hey.
Yeah, I got you guys' address. I'll be getting that out to you probably next weekend.
That's terrific. I'll tell him. Or he may know. Is that right? Are you listening? Yes. He said thank you.
My pleasure. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Okay. I'm sure we will.
I don't exactly see everybody, but hey, I know you're there.
Well, I am.
Well,
You don't see me.
trust
I
me, you're not looking at me very well anyway. I mean, I'm not much to look at, so you're good.
Well, it's good that we're talking about the energy thing because as a person with visual impairments of a major nature all my life, I've had to adapt and be very extra sensitive to the environment around me. And I think different people have different modalities of doing that when life is like really compressed when you're young, and it hones your intuitive skills to be really able to focus in a certain way on what's happening in the environment. I'm not scientific about it, but I'm going by my own experience and what I've noticed about the things I notice. They're kind of weird and different than what other people notice, I guess.
Well, you're
To me,
relying
that makes
on.
total sense.
That goes for all of us, I think. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I have visual impairment too, although mine's been the last 2 years, 3 years, and you know, we literally feel energy when you're in this situation.
Right. They did the water experiments where the crystals changed based on what was said to the water
Right.
Yeah,
with emotional content.
did the same thing with plants.
Right.
I'm not,
Exactly. Yeah.
I must have hiccuped on my end because I have no context for what's being said. Did like it skipped ahead and I wasn't here for it?
Ah,
Uh-oh. Am I
you
running at hyperspeed again?
uh-huh.
Man,
No,
I'm the
I'm
quantum
sorry,
one.
Nathan, we can't go back to catch up.
Yeah,
You know?
we can't go back. We cannot go back.
Well, as a child, in order to like preserve myself after a giant trauma at age 6, I just kind of like numbed out my whole, like real authentic self with full feeling in the world. I was lucky enough to have older people around me so that, it was sort of like, oh, you're always distracted onto something else. So it took this long, and I'm 67 now. It took this long to finally peel back the onion all the way back there to age 6. And now my 60-year-old's playing out loud, you guys. Watch out.
No, playing in
Oh, it's
traffic. It really
loose.
confuses people.
No, I'm going to play as much as I want to because I never got to as a kid. So there you go.
It's never too late to have a happy childhood.
amen. Amen.
Heck, you're all kids anyway.
Howdy,
There is no one of you that
Samantha. Good
isn't
to
a
see you
child.
tonight.
Yeah,
Joe is in the chat.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe. Long time no see, man.
Joe, if you want to come on, I'm almost at the limit here, but if you want to come on, link is going to be in the chat. And I will wait for the front door to open.
The whole energy thing. Frank and I were coming home from a shopping trip, a few hours ago. And I felt somebody. I felt him, and I literally saw him. I do not see at night at all. There is nothing. And I felt him, and I saw him. But I only saw his energy signature. That's all I saw. And I said, Frank, there's somebody in front of us. And he hit the brake, and suddenly, I guess he says that it was an old person shuffling across the street right in front of us. But I felt him first.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, that was like, oh my God.
And this is why you should let blind people drive.
I saw him and the driver didn't.
I'll give it up voluntarily myself in a few years.
Yeah, well, eventually they take us out. But the thing was that I saw his outline. I saw his, for lack of a better term, aura. And I think he wanted us to hit him. Because his energy was gray and green. Mm-hmm. And I mean like a very dark gray, very dark green. Like
he's tired.
He's tired.
Or he ate a McDonald's.
Oh, let's pray not. I mean, after all, we did hit him. He doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, Frank, go find him.
Go find him, Frank. It's I'll feel things, but I think that's the first time that I've ever seen something at night. Because I see nothing.
Right. That's
so you're related to Colonel Klink too.
I beg your pardon?
I said you're related to Colonel Klink, are you?
Well,
you remember? I see nothing.
Sergeant Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz, my apologies.
Yeah, I see nothing. I hear nothing. I know nothing. Don't tell me.
You know what, Lynn? I'm going to say, Lynn, that is one sense taking up for the slack of the other one, and it's enhancing. Oh, yeah. Well, I know you already know this. I mean, who am I talking to? Right?
You know what, though? It's nice when something kicks in finally.
Productively.
I've been at the losing end there for a while. So and this is on the same thing we were just saying, with Keith. I have been meditating and trying to communicate with the elders, the deity. And doggone, I said, I don't know what your plan is for all of this, but I'm getting really sore with this nonsense. I think my volume's down. Is that better? Is my volume better?
Volume seems better, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was a little bit loud. You're good.
Okay. Anyway, what I was saying about, I was like, I'm getting tired of this nonsense, and I want some recompense here, and at least give me something to work with, because this is. It's irritating. I can listen to books, but I can't read them. Mm. And, that sort of thing. So I was like, hey, Lord, I need a little hand here. Remind me who I am. Boy, that was a big reminder.
Mm. They communicated back.
Oh yeah, they do. They do talk. I have a guide, same way you do. I probably have a couple of them, but they have a main spokesperson.
Yeah.
And it's funny. At times I can see him in my mind's eye, just as clearly as I'm looking at you. Well, maybe a little more clearly these days. But anyway, it's I laugh at it. I say, okay, something will come up that will compensate me for the whole business. I will learn from this, if nothing else.
Yeah. And I heard something that is along that line. I will learn from this, if nothing else. It was an acting guy. It was some actor talking about use the problem.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? Use the problem. And he explained it out.
Yep.
This was from an acting perspective, right? If someone, if there's a chair on stage and you're in a comedy, trip over it. If you're in a drama, yell at it, or use it to your advantage. Because if you get anything from it, then you're already ahead of not ahead of losing anything, because you have gained from it. You have gotten something from it. And
Nathan,
I thought about, yeah.
What did you just do? Because you just started echoing.
I didn't change anything. Let me
Really?
go ahead
Okay.
and. How badly am I echoing?
See, I'm not
Not
hearing
terribly.
it at all.
It's not terrible. But I
Okay,
might
well-
actually go fix mine too, because now I'm hearing my echo.
Yeah, do what Frank said to do last time. Go in, turn
Yep.
off echo. Remember
Yep.
what to do?
Yep, I'm doing it now.
Okay.
I'm surprised you guys can't hear it.
I can hear
Sorry,
a
I'm
tiny echo in the background, but it's very tiny. It's more like static that follows our voices,
Right.
Yeah,
and
this
it's
is,
going away.
okay.
That's better. There you go.
See, my problem is I hear an echo all the time.
Okay.
You know,
Any
you
echo?
need more stuff in your room.
Oh, our Keith, Chad. Chad has a question. What figure are you working on?
There you go. I
Can
believe
you
it is
describe it?
actually listed as a
I
rancor.
can't see. Let me see here.
Can you describe it, Keith, please?
Let me see
Give
if
me
I
one
can
sec.
adjust the screen to
The
where
easiest way,
it's big.
I can describe it, Len. Did you see Star Wars?
Yes?
You remember the critter in the basement that Luke had to fight?
Yes.
That's
Rancor.
Rancor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Ask
sort
me
of.
Star Wars.
Where'd you pick that one up?
it. You'll love this one, given the show, at a place called Quantum Games.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm working
Are
on a
they
bunch of stuff too.
Are they online?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I know they're on the corner. I know they're right on Hollywood, if that's any help. But that's local.
you're in Kelowna, right?
I am so.
Okay. I'm going to get a
Well,
link
he
for
does
them.
that. If anybody's out there that hasn't hit this like button and subscribe, please think about doing that tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. I keep forgetting to say that.
You know, it doesn't hurt to say please. Never
Yes,
does.
and thank you
And
to
it
all
doesn't
10 of
hurt
you who
to
are out
speak
there in
it
chat.
out either, but it sounds sort of like, oh, I'm putting out my hand in my begging bowl.
Right.
It does.
Well,
It
it's so much
does.
better
But
than
you know
saying,
what?
yo,
Would you put anything in the bowl if you didn't hear it?
Well, I have a whole bunch of fun with emojis down in the chat asking for the same thing. So it's a little bit easier on my sensibility of feeling ashamed of begging for funding or something. Maybe.
There
I
isn't an easy
don't
way
know.
around that.
I'm Catholic. I got guilt forever. What can I do?
Oh, please, you should have known my mother.
Well, I'm just thinking, if you don't want to go, please, if that makes you feel a little edgy, just go hit the like button and subscribe now.
Yeah,
But
do it now.
you
Yeah, quit fooling
that
around.
may
Just,
be a
just
little bit
do
more.
it.
It might take it out of the politically correct area.
That's
I think
funny.
it does. I suppose so. With what we're talking about with manifesting, you don't put yourself in a situation of want or need. You always put yourself in a have state of mind. I have this. I have merely to bring it into existence.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody's heard the teachings of Esther and Jerry Hicks, the Abraham teachings.
Well, doubtful in my case.
It very similar. It's the law of attraction. It's what is featured throughout the movie The Secret, which is now free on YouTube.
Which is neat, because when you think of The Secret, they do one thing that is like, I've got the book, and they always do it. They've got one phrase in there that absolutely goes against everything that I personally believe in.
What's that, Arkeith?
They keep using the word "if you want something" and ask for it. Right. This goes completely against everything I've come across.
Well, I think it's a different. Okay, here's my deal. Language has always been weird for me because of my eye problems, right? So
sure,
I'm a very big word nerd. Won some spelling bees because I had to memorize things. And the way that people phrase things are kind of like within their cultural group or their environment that they grew up in. So maybe the way they're saying it is not to what you would do, but it's the same kind of idea. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
I understand entirely what you're saying.
No. My mother never asked us for very much. She said, "This is what you're doing today."
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah, we're coming from a similar background there.
She had it. Yeah. She goes, "Lenan, I am not asking you to do this. You do it."
Yeah, this is just the instruction.
Our mom expected all of us back in the 50s and 60s to just observe what she was doing, never help her, never be guided by her, but to absorb it as if there was a little adult and the only difference was the size of the physical form. And
that
so
was the way I grew up looking at people.
Observe it and then do it without any instruction. And if you didn't do it, oh man, you were just like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Well, at least that was my experience. I was so small and so far behind the rest of them. It was like I was the slowest slowpoke of all.
No, but I'll bet your detail is
Welcome
good.
to the show.
My mom, she did not look at us as little adults. She looked at us as little children, but we never seemed to manage to grow up. So I'm 30 years old, and my mother is still telling me what to do, right?
Well, they say there's something to be said for consistency.
Oh yeah,
that's everybody's mother, man. I did it to Joel too.
Oh yeah, but my son comes to me and goes, "Mother, I'm 40 years old. Get over it." And you do what you were taught, you brought up with. But I look at all of those directions, those ways that we did things, and shoot, she cooked, but it wasn't in any stretch of the imagination good. Okay.
Come on, you get stretching far enough.
I learned to cook.
Amen to that, sister.
I learned to cook. I was like, this is self-preservation.
Oh, my mom, we had such a big bunch, and this is why Catholics have a lot of kids. See,
Mm-hmm.
she had a little
Well,
army
that's
to
not
clean
why
the house.
Catholics have a lot of kids.
Yeah, a
But
little army to clean the house, and a little army to cook the food, and a little army to, go around and serve the guests when they came, and all this kind of stuff. Big family affairs.
Oh
Breakfast
yeah.
on Sunday at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Oh man,
Yeah,
that was
we
awesome.
did that too.
Well,
We were Lutheran. I think that's kind of a step back from Catholicism, but
Hey, it's only
you
Catholics
know.
that are trying to raise whole armies on their own inside one family. What's that?
well, that's
well,
not true either. That's
I,
not
I,
true
I'd
either.
have to
But
throw in a
we're
little
not allowed to
wrench
make
there.
fun of those people.
My family is like I was personally baptized Roman Catholic, but I was raised broadband Protestant. And mom and
Broadband.
dad,
Broadband.
I like
military.
that.
I've been a
Every three or
religious
4 years, we got a
explorer
new
since age
denomination.
13, had to rebel against the Roman Catholic Church. It was just too much cognitive dissonance between what I saw at my school and the difference in my own family, which has a lot of clergy of all stripes, not just Catholic. We got the Presbyterians and Episcopalian. Well, they're paler than most, the Episcopalians. So, you know, we got
Yeah.
a lot of different denominations in my family, but I was raised Roman Catholic, very harsh. Oh my God.
No,
Uh,
Oh yeah.
we had 6 kids. I had 5 brothers and an adopted sister, and then we had 2 foster sisters, just because mom and dad didn't have enough, I guess.
That's pretty funny, Bo.
Well, we laugh about our own religion. I mean, all of that. And I just figure I'm recovering from religion, but and I'm very spiritual, but religion just doesn't work for me, and hasn't for many, many, many about 45 years. So
yeah.
you know,
Oh, I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear you.
so while I respect all forms and have had dealings with practically all of them, including the Muslim faith. Um, it it's important to understand that the core is still God. Is still God.
Exactly.
And I think atheists are the greatest because they'll go, "Oh my God," and they'll go, "Wait a minute," you know.
Well, I
Well,
still think the best one I ever heard
uh
was I
huh.
heard an argument on Facebook one day. It was absolutely priceless. It was a flat earther expounding the values of being flat earth, and he turns around and goes, "Look, we have a flat earth community all around the globe."
One of them
That's
That's
quantum
always
face
as
perfect.
palm
funny as what Bo
moments.
just said.
you know,
Nathan, why don't you read off Bo's last 2 comments?
Oh,
Or post them or something.
Bo
I don't
says
know.
my okay. I can just show them off. Let's see here.
Well,
My
for those of
mother-in-law
us
only
who,
has a kitchen because it came with the house.
That was my mom.
Yep. And then Bo also says, "Do you know why Mormon women stop having kids at 35?
That's too
Because
much.
36 is too many, and even for them."
OMG.
Gosh.
that's just terrible.
welcome to
I'm
the Bo.
joking now.
Welcome
I'm
to the show,
joking.
Bo.
I've never met a parent that truly regretted any of their children, any of them.
You're very, very lucky.
And I don't know if I'm lucky or I'm just that naive. I'm not sure. You
I've met
know,
I've
there's
met mothers who couldn't
disappointment.
stand their children.
Yeah, there's been disappointment and that, and I have a disabled adult child. I have 2 of them.
Frank
So,
doesn't count.
no, I was talking about Frank's child. But they work to their capacity because they've been taught to. Both of them do, and it's when you talk about regrets, I think regret there is only because they miss so much being an adult. And then I see how things are going, and maybe not so much. I don't know.
Right. I've got a lot of friends in the disabled community, and many of them have certain cognitive impairments. And it's more like, well, they're more childlike. So they're more having the wonder and the exploration ideas and really creative thought, totally empathetic with other people. There's a certain charisma that many that I've known who have, like, okay, so I have a disability. Yeah, I'm living with a disability. Okay, that's not all of me,
See, I found out
I'm no
there's a
less
slightly
in-
different way of looking at that. I don't see you as having as being visually challenged. Okay, what I came to understand is you're actually auditorially enhanced.
Yes,
There you go.
and I have an inner sort of vision that I can look in my mind's eye and see words that are being read to me on a page because I had to
Okay, we're
memorize
gonna
so
start
much
calling
in
you
order to
Daredevil.
read.
What's that, Shadow?
I said we're gonna start calling you Daredevil.
If you start moving like that, I'm going to be impressed.
No kidding,
I'll tell
right?
you, this is not the time to learn to ride a bike, right, Dorothy?
Oh, heck no. I've been riding a bike for way too long. It was like one of those little circus bikes that's way too small.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that way, if you fell off, you didn't have as far to go.
True.
Good one.
We look. I don't look at disability as a handicap. I know Dorothy doesn't either. I can tell.
No. I gave a whole speech about all this back in 2008 during the giant flood of 2008 in Wisconsin. It was amazing weather.
Oh,
Storm
yeah.
chasers would have been just, in heaven with that one.
A lot of them were.
I was going to say a lot of
Although
them
I think
made
that
it
was
there.
after the fact.
I-94 that connects, Wisconsin all over the place was flooded. One of the major crossroads right in the middle of the state there.
Mm-hmm.
And Spring Green, where Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture and so forth, and that's where he had his summer home. That was flooded out for weeks and weeks and weeks because it lays on a granite plate, and the water couldn't drain. There was so much water. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and out where I had moved to, it's out in the southwestern part of Wisconsin in Vernon County, the home of all Organic Valley products. The people that I know out there started Organic Valley products with all the farmers around, and they made their own cooperative, and they all switched over to organic farming. And then pretty soon they're like, well, wait a minute, we have to expand our market and get the word out that this is so much better than everything else. But once you ever see Lafarge, and I'll get out there and take some more pictures, you'll see why it's still beautiful, because it's still not all that developed. Organic Valley is the big company in town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like the
I've always
Chevy
had fun
plants
trying to
used
figure
to
out how
be.
you grow inorganic plants.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's all farmland, but the geology out there is unglaciated. It's called karst topography or something, where the glaciers never got there, and it's actually a mountain range that's completely eroded. So the land is really, like built up, but really kind of like weird and crumbling away. And in those floods, we had whole highways that wound around big, giant ridges and stuff, like wash away. They can't keep things like asphalt and stuff like that on these hills. It just doesn't work. It's too sandy out there, I think.
Well, that's why you're never supposed to build a tower on a beach.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, take a
But
look what
the
happened
plains
to
are
Rainy
very
Tower
fertile
Basin.
because every time something washes down, it washes down all these minerals and so forth. So the swampy areas is where, you if it's a dry year or so, you can really plant those places where it used to flood out and stuff. But
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of
'cause
these
all the
places, it was the final straw. Spring Green didn't come back for at least 3-4 years after
mm,
that. The town that we did a special fundraiser for, I believe, had to actually move their town after this flood. It was huge.
yeah, I can see where
Yeah.
it would be. Just to clarify a little bit though, Dorothy, I don't see in the dark at all, and I have cataracts, so I have it, but it's all hazy.
Right. I'm getting there with my own cataracts, but I
Yeah,
hear you on that one.
yeah, and I figure I've been told by my doctor that when I have these removed, they'll put a new lens in my eyes, and I will see like a 16-year-old. Now, this isn't good in my book because I've always had pop bottle bottoms. You know, I laughed at him for that. But, I'm really excited about this. I might actually be able to drive a car again, much to Frank's chagrin.
Oh, come on, Lynn. You can actually drive a car now.
To a place. Unfortunately, I think you're right. However, getting it from place A to place B probably isn't in anybody's best interest.
Although it would be fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, it'd be
man.
hard to look away, I think, is the main thing.
Well, I knew it was time to give up night driving when I actually accidentally short stepped a curb with my car trying to turn left. It was like, oh, at the sides of my vision, not
That's what
so
you get
great
for trying to
anymore at
turn
night.
left. You always just make right turns. It's so much easier.
Well, I will tell you, if you can avoid the whole problem if you stay on the sidewalk.
If the other people would stay off it, it'd even be better. You know.
I don't know where you live, but my grocery store is 3 miles away. I gotta have a car.
Yeah. Well, I got
Oh, you
Frank. He can
misunderstand. I
drive
didn't
the
say
car.
leave the car behind.
you
Pretty
know,
funny.
I figured out I was night blind. I was driving, and I was with a friend, and we were coming home from another friend's home, and I'm driving. I'm not going fast, but my friend reached over and turned the wheel out of my hands. I would have missed the curb completely. I would have missed the turn, and in a winding road. And I stopped the car and I said, "My God, I can't see." And they took over the wheel. In fact, that was Joe, and that scared the ever living crap out of me.
See,
you know.
that's where you just get out and go. Well,
How do you think
chaos,
Frank felt?
pandemonium. My job's done.
Yeah, well, he drove, and I don't know how much better he was at it that night. I think he had a migraine headache, but he certainly was better than I was. Of course, I just was absolutely horrified and scared to death. But I hadn't driven at night for a long time ahead of that, and to have that surprising thing going on was scary as heck. But we adapt to these little things going wrong until we don't realize we've adapted so far. You know.
See, that's where I'm pretty certain I've got it all backwards. My eyesight's getting stronger as I get older.
Now Joe says I remember one of your assy drives. What? I think Easy
I think he
drive,
might mean
maybe?
your easy drives.
Or lazy drive?
No, I'm trying to think. I don't know what he's trying to say.
I'm not sure. I'm not
it's
sure,
a
but I'm
it's
sure
a
he
typo.
remembered that night. That was pretty unforgettable. Yeah, Dorothy Hawkins is saying, yes, I'm ready to get rid of all that. I am too, but I'm not ready yet. But I'll
I
tell
wanted
you.
to tell you, my sister, my oldest sister, Connie,
Uh-huh.
she had glasses like yours all of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And she was one of the early people to participate in LASIK, and I helped her afterwards. It was amazing. The day after the surgery, she woke up and she was able to see perfectly, and it was better than 2020.
Oh, that's lovely.
It
That's
was
so
something like
nice.
2030, or no,
I never
2015 or something, something ridiculously good
yeah,
for what she had done.
I've never had a time without glasses.
Me
When
neither. Well,
yeah,
yeah, I did before
even when
age
I was
five.
young,
Mhm.
very young,
Yeah, me
I
too.
got glasses first time. I was in first grade, and at that time, now you got to understand that things were done very differently 60 years ago. And
Yeah, they thought before they did.
Lynn,
yeah, well,
can you write to me in a DM on Twitter and
I can't.
send me your story because it sounds similar in some respects to my own visual journey throughout life, similar age
Um,
range.
I'll tell you what, Dorothy. After the show, or after we speak,
Excellent. Okay, I'm out. I'm
I will
not going
have
to
Frank
interrupt
do it.
anymore.
I'll have Frank do it because honest to God cannot see it, and he'll take care of that for me. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Sure. We could not do anything with the uh, well, when I was in first grade, I was put in a corner with about five other small children who had learning disabilities, handicaps. Um, one girl had polio. I mean, you name it. There was all this stuff, and the teacher did not address us ever. We were not capable and not worthy of learning in her book. And
Yeah, I got another word for that.
I do too, and it's not proper for a lady to speak that way.
It's not proper for a sailor to speak that way.
Well, and you know how I am. I believe that the word that I'm looking for starts with an F and ends with an R. Anyway, she
That's no way to speak about your father.
I was talking about a teacher.
And this
And
is where
Oh
this is where we
yeah,
go. Your
the
teacher,
public
your father was your
shaming of the
teacher.
children. Let's publicly shame the children because we
yeah,
don't understand what's going on.
okay. They'll figure it out eventually. It'll be
Same
all
sort
right.
of thing happened to me. That's why I want your story.
Yeah, it at that time this lady had no clue how to teach learning disabled children or disabled children. She did not know the difference. And I was told in school that I had no soul because I could not see.
No, I thought you were going to say because you were left-handed.
Well, that too, I was
No, that's
left-handed.
why she was going to hell.
I had my arm put behind my back and tied there to force
My mom
me
had the
to
same.
use the right hand.
Yeah, they did the same
Jeez,
thing to my mom. Crazy
I've
stuff
heard.
back then.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that.
Yeah, this is a farm community. She was one of their older teachers, so this woman had to been at it for 20 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm.
it just is one of those kinds of things. But
Ignorant.
we with when you get to manifesting, you learn to do things. My mother used to get mad at me when I'd get upset with something and things started flying off the walls. So, and this is a manifesting in reverse.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I had Keith on in my first hour because I wanted to go over a few
I
things with him.
listened. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was talking about that. That happens to me, but things don't go flying off the walls, but things get knocked over and things start to break,
Yeah.
and they don't fly around, but they do. They are affected when I'm
Uh,
not right, like
See, I've
falling
got a
over.
friend that every time she got agitated, usually because she was a really decent looking 13-year-old and some idiot on a roof would whistle at her, for some weird reason, he'd all of a sudden lose his footing.
yeah, and over he'd go, huh? Yeah, I've been responsible for a time or two of things like that. The the everything has another side of the coin. For all the positive things that one can manifest, you get that going in the wrong direction, you can really cause a mess.
Yeah.
And it is personal energy. It's not saying to your personal demon that you want that. It's not about that. It's about true power, the true abilities.
I would say that is the ability to affect reality.
Yes.
I would say that's what that is because that's right back to the quantum, right
Yes.
back to it because we affect the reality around us somehow, and well, that's where we are. And you do that. I do that. We both, everyone here does that.
Oh yeah.
And some people are more hands on than others. And I like to think I'm pretty hands on. You're definitely hands on. Oh, for sure.
Well,
And
we use it here daily. It's part of our daily thing, our routine. I get up in the first thing in the morning. I say my prayers. I do my meditations, and I will and ask for a good day. And 99 times out of 100, I have them.
yep,
Joseph asked, when was the last time you were right, Nathan?
I I'm going to defer that question. Circle back. Stick a pin in it.
Gee, I usually look at it and go, I'm just going to ignore that question.
Well, I want to know when you were left. You know. Or was that wrong? I'm not
Well,
sure.
I have had a few exes, so
So have I.
That doesn't
Well,
necessarily mean you made a mistake, though.
yeah, I've learned from my mistakes here. I've learned you get to right by being wrong. So
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
okay.
Learn,
I
It's
came
you
to the
learn more from
conclusion
your
I've only
mistakes than
actually
you
been wrong once in
do.
my life. I thought
I'm
it was
sorry.
wrong and I wasn't.
Okay, and Shadow, what'd you say?
I said you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes.
That's very true. When it hurts, and you either pay attention or you get hurt worse. And whether
Yep.
that's relationships or trying to put together a puzzle, it doesn't matter.
See,
Those doing these things and getting them right, getting a relationship right. Okay, I've had my fair share of mistakes and have made some pretty serious ones. My first marriage, my ex-husband bought a life insurance policy for me. He didn't buy one for himself.
Hmm.
well, that
And
tells you
yes,
something.
that goes exactly where I meant for it to.
Hmm.
That's pretty
So
messed up.
it was. He was a messed up person. And at that time, love conquers all. You remember that?
I remember it. I just never bought it.
And there you go. You didn't buy it. I did. I bought it. I was wrong. Love does not conquer all. Intelligence making decisions does. Making an honest evaluation of a bad situation and saying, okay, can I make it better? Well, you might be able to, but that other person is not going to change.
Yeah, well, the problem is it doesn't matter how much effort you put in. It's in the case of a relationship, it's only 50% of the required effort.
If you can improve the relationship you have with yourself, then every other relationship resolves in some manner.
Oh, that's
and if that
wise.
includes, leaving certain people away from your life, so be it.
Yeah. Now, oh, that's cute. Lamlin says, wasn't that a Jefferson Starship song?
Which?
And Joseph said, mistakes equal experience. And that's true. And I have way more experience than I ever wanted.
See, I always consider a mistake doing something by accident. It's just plain stupid if you've done it before and you go back and do it.
Well, isn't that the definition of insanity?
No,
I know. I was going to say the same thing. We must be psychic.
Oh.
No, maybe we were the same phrase.
Let's get this right. It's quantum.
There you
right,
go.
right,
there,
Nathan?
that's it.
I'm lucky I never made the same mistake
She
twice.
gets her first free T-shirt.
Yeah, really. Somebody owes me a Coke. I'm not sure who. There was
Bo
I
owes
should
you a
say.
Coke.
I
owes you a Coke.
I don't get Coke. I get Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, so does Joe. I get water, and thanks for buying me some free water.
Speaking of water, may I have water, please?
Oh, if you like water, they've got a new product out. I saw it on the net the other day. They actually have diet water that you can buy.
Diet water. That means
for the love of God.
Let me guess. Keith, you drink it and you throw up.
I don't honestly know.
They didn't say from where.
I drive 50 minutes, east of here, and fill up my own empty milk jugs with spring water and berries.
You can't get any better.
Oh, I'm so envious. I'm envious. I'm envious of you.
Water is free.
Oh, that just makes me so happy to hear from that.
That's why. I mean, when I heard a rumor that California is starting to make it illegal to collect rainwater.
Oh,
it's
that's
been
been a
illegal.
They
thing
better
for
change
years.
their minds.
That's been a thing for years.
Oh, okay.
Rainwater is what's going to save their fannies here very shortly.
Well, we just had a whole lot of rain, and the drought is officially over, much to their disappointment. But yeah, we got plenty of rain in like a week. You heard about all the flooding. Hopefully it'll clean up those streets of San Francisco, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath there.
Well,
Yeah, you have to hold your breath there.
I've got lots of beach, but I don't have any ocean, and I don't want one.
Well,
I live in New Mexico.
Even where you are, you may end up with
watch your
ocean.
step.
Here we go. Dehydrated water. Just add water. That's brilliant. That's the biggest scam I ever heard.
Oh, that's like the guy who claims that, he found a relative of mine named Hawkins who just recently died in some catastrophe and he's looking for his heir. And
yeah, it was a Hawkins guy too.
50-50, and I'm like, do you have any idea how common my name is?
There you
Do
go.
they live in Nigeria?
Yeah, right.
I got the same letter. I know I'm going to get $1 million. Isn't that wonderful?
Oh, it's just
Oh, Lord
amazing.
have mercy.
I told him, I'll show you my genetic DNA test if you show me yours for this person.
Yeah, really. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. How I like that. That's great. Oh,
See, I
Lord.
keep getting geniuses that are phoning me up and warning me that the kind that customs is has a problem with a package of mine. So I turn around and thank them for letting me know.
I'll go right down there, huh?
Well, no. Up here, if there's a problem with customs, the cops show up on your doorstep. If
Oh,
they're
it's
phoning
not
ahead
over,
of time, I
Cal?
can leave.
Oh,
I
no.
thought it was over, Cal. I thought the drought was over here. Bummer.
The floods are just beginning. That's usually what follows a drought.
Well, there's been such drought conditions out there for so long.
Yeah.
When I was out in school out there, it was, having real protracted dry periods that were drought-like,
Yeah. Well,
very arid.
where I live, it's perpetual drought. I live in the desert. And
That makes two of us.
yeah. See, there you go. And then what's hilarious is I live in the far southwest, and you live in the far northwest, right?
Yeah.
So
But
and
we're
here
both
we are
right
with two
smack in the middle of the
deserts.
desert.
Yeah, two deserts, no waiting. What's this?
Yeah, I get
I
a kick
like
out of
water
it.
well enough, but at this point in my life, I'd probably do better to stay away from it or I'll drown. You know, for I know what's happened to me. And all
See,
I
my mom was lucky.
Scott's Pepsi, and he's saying that Edgar signs is saying whiskey. Whiskey tastes great with water. Yeah, it's a little much, but yeah.
Now, why would you water down whiskey?
Oh,
Okay,
used
Cal.
water? Well, I gave it up. I didn't use water, so I just let it go entirely. There, what'd you say here, Nathan?
Oh, I
Oh, okay.
prefer whiskey as my drink of choice because scotch is so expensive.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just like the flavor of rye better.
oh yeah. But I let that go about before John was born, so that's been 38 years ago plus. And I never missed it. Now occasionally for like Christmas I'll have one, but nothing more than that. Doesn't mix well
Well,
with everything else.
yeah, it's been 11 years for me. I don't miss it at all.
Ah, there you go.
Well,
Yeah,
I barely.
I quit drinking in '87.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Good
I
job.
barely drink at all.
Well, I drink, but it's like 2, maybe 3 shots a year,
Yeah, exactly. I do
and
the
that's
same
usually
thing.
New Year's.
And if I do, it's a mead or for ritual or for if I have anything at all more than that, it's usually a wine of some kind. And I say, oh, this is great. Let's cook with it.
See, I have a problem. I don't like tomato
Right.
juice. I can't find a blood supplier.
If you ever get out my way, I'll give you the best recommendation for a beer cheese soup in a cool restaurant downtown.
Oh
Beer,
my.
cheese, soup.
Oh, that sounds so
Did I
good.
hear that?
You could
correctly?
walk out of that restaurant a little bit off kilter.
Oh, heck no. But the distinctive taste of this soup, it's just like it'll stick with you forever.
Is it like a Welsh rabbit?
It's beautiful. It's
Oh,
really
nice.
beautiful. And the restaurant is historic too. It's right on the square by the Capitol.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, I guess when we're kids, we kind of get caught up in it, but it's best left behind awful quick.
Being in the state that's got the most drinking problems, I couldn't agree more.
Which southern state do you live in? I'm teasing.
She wants to move.
Sorry, babe. I live in the brewmeister country of
Oh,
Wisconsin. We used
You
to have
you did
all the
say
big
that.
breweries in the whole nation,
Oh,
man. It's
gosh,
so many
yes.
Germans and Northern Europeans over here. It's
Yeah,
like
but think about
Not
it.
to
You guys don't
mention
have a
Beer
problem
City,
drinking.
we compromise a whole
Oh,
vitamin D
yeah.
study, all our very own here for vitamin deficiencies because we're all from Northern Europe.
See,
Cal is
the thing
heading
there
out.
is you
Have a
guys
good
don't
one,
Pretty
really have a
Cal.
much. I
drinking
mean,
problem.
we've got neighbors
Take
from
care,
all over
Cal. See you
the,
tomorrow, man.
universe, but the people who settled this land are mostly Northern European. Yeah.
Somebody's banning here?
Yeah, Cal's leaving. And
Oh,
good for you, Lamblin.
thanks for
You're
stopping
probably way
in.
better off.
And I got to get
Yeah.
off too because I got to lay down and get some sleep. Tomorrow's a big day.
Ooh.
It was good having you here,
Big
Dorothy.
day?
Have a
Thanks.
good
It
one,
was
I'm
so
Nathan.
glad.
much fun, Nathan. Thanks for
Thank
inviting
you.
me up. Thanks,
Hey,
Shadow and Sun. Thank
you
you,
have an
Arky.
open invite. Thank you for coming by. Love it when you
Yeah.
come in.
I look forward to getting your story, young lady. It seems
Okay.
so similar to my own period of time, and
It sure
in
does.
doing my own research, I need other people's stories that corroborate my own experience. So
Yeah.
what I'm
Sounds
saying
like it.
isn't just my claim, it was the culture we were living in and the environment we were raised by.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Things
So-
We'll
have
find a way
improved.
for you guys to exchange information.
Right,
If you've got
exactly.
Nathan, if you got Nathan's contact information,
Yeah, Nathan can give you my Twitter.
I was going to
Yeah,
say, I know
I can
there's
do
an
that.
easier way to do it. They used to call it a telephone.
Hey, I'm all for it, but
am
I
too.
don't want my phone ringing off the hook. It's a matter of a trigger response for me. So
Got
no,
it.
that's why I recommended, you guys hook up through the interwebs first, and then find a safe way to exchange phone numbers and
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
convenient
posting
time
your
Yeah.
number
schedule.
isn't necessarily a good idea.
oh, we could do Zoom calls or something, or go on Meet or something like that.
Yeah,
There
that'd
you
be
guys go.
fine.
See, check
That'd
you
be
guys
fine.
out.
I do
You're all
Skype.
over it.
Right, I could learn Skype.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of
it's
slow
really
at
easy.
learning this stuff, you guys. I
Sure.
just, I left my technology chops for a while ago, but I mean, I got them, but they're old. I got to go back
Yeah.
to school and do this.
I have Frank get with Nathan.
Excellent.
Okay?
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Good seeing you.
Have a good one, guys.
God bless.
Oh, and she's out.
And we'll say
Okay.
good night, Joe.
Joe is going on to his messenger has arrived and says, "Come and get you." So
His night. His
Take
nighty
care,
night.
Joe. Hopefully we'll
Isabella
get
is
Steve,
dragging him to the back room as we speak.
I'm
next week.
sure.
Yeah. All 2 pounds of her.
Well, I think she weighs 17 pounds or so, but
Oh.
she is a moose of a little dog. And I'm
Sounds like my puppy.
gonna tell on Joe.
Where's
He
my puppy?
had
Where's my
fallen
puppy?
under the car, and it was raining and snowing, and he fell, and she picked him up. 17-pound dog.
Mm.
No kidding. So that was she's wonderful. She really is.
I think I met her, and yes, she is.
She would have been a puppy before you left. She'd have been tiny at the time.
Okay. Well, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
She looks like a little part of a beagle.
Mhm.
Part of a
You know.
beagle.
Part
Well,
of
I
a
hope
beagle.
she's got all of it if she's
Which
being
part? I'm not sure. No, she kind of looks like a King Charles Spaniel, and maybe
Okay,
something
I was
a
in a
little
really,
heavier.
really weird D&D game today and said part of, and that just took me back.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's part of a beagle. Well, which part?
Well, just the part that's a beagle. The rest of her is all heart. I swear.
No. That brings back that question that got asked a long time ago. A foreigner comes to Canada, and of course, the Canadian looks at him and goes, You got to try this. You got to try this hot dog. Right. So, of course, the foreigner grabs the hot dog, opens it up, and goes, I don't want to know what part you got.
Okay. When getting back to manifesting, because I know you really want to talk about that and your crystals. I've never heard it put so succinctly that
What do you mean?
you program your crystals to do what you need them to do. I like that very much.
Well, if you think back, and Frank should remember this. Crystal computers were normal.
He does
and far
remember.
better than the wire ones.
He does remember. He remembers all the way back. And the only thing that he doesn't remember is the precise way that it was done, and that annoys the heck out of him.
Well,
he and I should sit down one day about that, because I know part of it.
Frank remembers Atlantis, and he remembers being in Atlantis. I think Keith and I both do, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
I will never forget that first day that Frank and I actually connected over the Atlantean problem.
Yeah. Well, for a long time he felt badly that Atlantis went up, literally. And it wasn't his fault. It had been sabotaged, but he didn't know that. And we had a session with Keith, and we were able to do we were not necessarily a past life regression, but
no, I think it was a past life. I think it was a past life coffee.
Yeah, recollection. And this lifetime was interfered with because of that. But once we sorted out that he hadn't made a mistake, it would have been with a apparatus that created 0.0 energy, and lots of it, enough to power the world 1,000,000 times over.
Well, it worked out rather well. It kept a few of us alive that were still on the ship.
It did. My next memory of it, personally, I was in a ship that was created to escape this area because there had been some saboteurs, and my memory of it is still, and I know it's real because it hits me right in the heart.
And that's the easiest way to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Nathan, can you address Bo's question in a how-to sense? Because I'm curious as well.
I don't know how to do that. I was looking at that question. I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to. How does one remember these kinds of things? I replied to him, somehow some of us are in touch with our higher selves. That is how some remember, because that is our personal source, right? There's source, there's the center, there's where it all comes from. But then we are a little piece of that. That's some of the context. It's really hard to get across, right? And I personally cannot yet. I haven't yet.
Yeah. If you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I wouldn't have understood it.
Right. But and I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. But
there is an actual trick to it. Because every person I've ever met has past lives. Mm-hmm. But we're taught, we literally set it up so we don't remember them coming into this lifetime. And there is a reason for that. But the trick to it is to literally sit down and just let things like you literally forget you don't know is the easiest way.
Right. Well,
But
and
ultimately, it boils down to if you're imagining it, okay, understanding there's a very big difference between what it feels like when you're writing out a fantasy and what it feels like when you're writing out the reality of it.
right, it hits you in the heart. Uh, Actually, Storm and Shadow is Frank, and he says here, there's usually a triggering event, and that's very true.
And that I
Uh,
will agree with.
And Lamblin, they're two different things, but I know for a fact that what you're talking about is a real thing. I've seen it in my own son in crazy, crazy ways. His language abilities that were passed down from my father, because I'm still trying to learn English, but my son is teaching himself German, whereas my father spoke 17 languages, and other things I could go on and on about.
yeah,
Um,
he got the idea.
mhm, right,
You know,
but I'm with Bo. I've never had any, even though my father, when he had polio, both my parents had polio, and he passed away several times in the hospital, and they brought him back, and
hmm
he would tell me all kinds of, different things, from his experiences, and I've also seen other instances where I know other people, I don't doubt their beliefs in reincarnation. Me, on the other hand, I've never seen anything within myself to make me think that that's happened. But I'm sure there's got to be, some people who have yet to be reincarnated. It just seems mathematically that that's a possibility. So maybe like me, Bo, that what's going on with you? This is your first time around, and we're so perfect. We're just going to get it right.
Good luck with that thought.
You know, I can say this is
He's just
not your
going,
first
what
time
the hell?
around. Yeah, I can
no,
say this is definitely not your first time around. I don't know how to see it, but I can sense something. And no, you're further along than the first time around.
yeah, a first timer doesn't think about praying or fasting or spiritual manifestations. They
Yeah,
just don't.
That
But
depends on what them. Like many people, if this is their first human incarnation,
hmm
they may be far more animalistic, and don't take this the wrong way. It's meant exactly as it sounds. They're more vegetable than they are person.
well,
That
they're still
explains
learning to
so much,
learn
Keith.
even.
That
You
explains
know,
so much.
so, and I don't think I've ever met anybody who was a complete null. Who just didn't get it. I think more likely that people on this earth in particular have been at it for some time. Most of us have. Some of us have delayed coming back, but
That makes total sense if you think about it. Especially with some of the more famous stories of reincarnation. I forget the little boy's name who was in World War II,
yeah,
Yeah, the
and
fighter
remember.
pilot.
yeah,
Right. That stuff. Unless they all made that all up, which I kind of doubt anybody's gonna go after that kind of a gig with their own kid. Yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna coach our kid into thinking he was no.
you
Nobody's
can
that much of
coach.
a yeah. I
As
don't believe
little
that's
as
the
that
case.
youngster was, he couldn't have been
Right.
coached that well.
No,
You
Mm-mm.
that's what I'm
know,
saying. I don't believe that for a second. So with that case alone being like one of the more famous ones in the the 21st century that we've all heard of, um, that's just too on the nose to be anything but real.
yeah, yeah.
It
Well,
it just takes a
exactly.
mountain of faith to think that they faked that.
Well,
See,
what Frank has said about a triggering event, that can be a near death experience. It can be the a horrible thing happening in front of them. A triggering experience can be a lot of things.
It can even be a
honestly,
And
one see, one of mine was watching a movie,
uh-huh.
and it wasn't just a question of watching the movie; it was the corroborating evidence that came after the fact.
Exactly. We didn't just one day wake up and say, "Oh, we're reincarnated." No, there's a whole lot of of things that don't add up until you begin to add them up and say, "Oh, wait a minute."
Right,
Yeah,
right.
unless we take this into consideration, this doesn't add at all.
When I started martial arts, I was at the tail end of being physically able to do them, about 30, 32. And I started for one reason. My son enjoyed it, and I wanted to enjoy it with him. So I did that. And what was very strange was I already knew them.
Mm.
And that should not have happened.
That happened with me with woodworking
There you
because
go.
I went to woodworking the very first time, and I think I was in the 7th grade, and it was in shop class, right?
Yeah,
And
clicked.
I was so on it. The teacher said, "Have you ever done this before?" I'm like, "Nope." And it wasn't. It was like this. "Have you ever done this before?" And I just went like that,
No.
and I
Yeah, it
continued on.
clicked. It
Yeah,
clicked.
it
Yeah.
was a. I remember I was using a bandsaw, and I had no idea how this thing worked consciously. But when I got on it, I just started using it, and it just started being right. And I knew how to
Right.
lean and how to where to put the pressure and how to make it work for me without him telling me.
So I think
That's pretty
really
cool.
what the audience, at least Bo, is asking us is how does he
Trigger it.
trigger it? How does he get to that place?
Okay.
Ooh. Now you're going to have to put yourself into some interesting situations because, I mean,
Okay.
some of my triggers have been through quite literally drowning. That was a fun one.
Oh yeah, I bet.
You know, trauma. I mean,
Okay.
your best bet is to watch a lot of movies and see if something trips.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
let
how
me
one of my earlier memories came up was quite literally watching ID4.
You know, see, and I can say that one of the big triggering experiences of my life was actually reading The Secret. We talked about that, in
Huh.
the other program. You know, there are books that can trigger you to remind
mhm.
you of things that
Absolutely.
happened. Dreams will trigger you. Text can trigger you. Listening to certain songs, from certain eras.
That one sounds like an easy one there. Lynn, music.
Music,
If you
music uses the whole brain.
right,
You know?
so
Okay.
you could always like try listening to music that you don't listen to.
Yeah, well, stuff from
My
the
son
Civil
does that a
War
lot.
era.
That you'd be surprised at the weird stuff my son's listening to.
No, I would
Like literally 100-year plus old music, and
exactly
I'm
stuff
like,
from the
what the heck is?
from the 30s, stuff that was from the Victorian era.
Yeah, older. Keep going.
There's
Keep going.
oh
He's got
yeah,
200-year-old music on his playlist.
you know what jumps me quite often is stuff from the Middle Ages.
Yeah, like I mean, for
That'll
me,
jump
it,
me.
it can be really fun with the old instruments
Uh huh. Listening to somebody play a mandolin or a lute.
or lyre.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Harp
Bo, I
music.
was just thinking about your question, and something it jumped into my head. Art.
Yeah.
Art. Look at art.
Go to the
Look at
museum.
yeah,
Go to museum.
or go to a museum. Be you know
There's
what's good?
many
Children's
virtual
museums.
museums.
Yeah,
There's
go to a
many
children's
virtual ones.
museum and like a
I,
science
I think I
museum to
think
where
a
you can
real
put
one
your
might be a
hands
little
on
bit
stuff.
more immersive, though, Lynn.
I'm sorry.
I
Say
think
again.
for Bo, going to a real museum might be a little bit more immersive, and he can use it as an excuse since he has an army of children. We're going on a field trip, and then, see
Oh
what
yeah.
happens.
Yeah, and the kids
Absolutely.
Right, a kids museum, you can get your hands on something, so you got that tactile feedback. And but just something
That's the way.
told me to say,
Oh
look at
yeah.
the art.
Well, the more senses you can involve in an experience, the
Yeah.
more likely you are to trigger something if there's something to be triggered.
Looking
Right,
at certain art forms,
exactly.
I recently have discovered a thing on YouTube. It's creation from artwork to more real life. It's using not only AI but the artist's own interpretation. But say if, Queen Elizabeth I, okay, 1500s, right? That lady, when you get that makeup off of her and you can see her face in real life, that would be a triggering event if you actually remembered her. That could happen.
That could very easily, yes.
So you look at things like that touch the heart, things that you're interested yourself in. A hobby, maybe rock collecting,
That's
or
especially, the whole idea of the things you're interested in is especially true if you've got no functional reason to be interested in it.
precisely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I picked up a brush and started painting years ago, before all this mess happened with my eyes, and sold my work and sold it for a good price, very similar to what Keith is doing with his figures.
I'm not telling you.
Okay, well, I was, and we ate on that a couple times, but it just came to me. I was able to do it almost instantly. I watch or have watched certain people creating art, and that has been an interesting thing where it's like I can tell you streets in France. I've never been to Paris, but I know they're in Paris.
I'm sorry, guys. Can you
What
read
tickled
Lamblin?
you?
Can you read
Did,
Lamblin?
Yeah.
Lamblin's being hysterical tonight.
The
Hold on, let me get it
opposite
back up
side
on
of the
screen.
spectrum: drink tons of energy drinks and mosh to punk rock. Oh, that'll give you a glimpse of the future if it doesn't kill you.
In the future, not the past. Yeah.
See, I'm
I'm
lucky in that
I'm
regard.
I'm
Those
gonna
energy
sound
drinks,
old.
I love
Yes.
them. They're an absolute tranquilizer for me.
Yeah, you're ADHD, aren't you?
No,
No,
I'm actually not. I'm not ADHD, I'm not ADD, I'm not schizophrenic. I've actually
none of
got a
that.
clean bill of mental health, except
Cool.
I've got an absolute short circuit where it comes to dealing with what I consider stupid people.
Me too. I tried my first energy drink yesterday. It's the first time I ever had it. Never had once. Now I drink coffee, and I've always considered coffee to be, a pretty good charger. And I had one swallow of an energy drink, just one. I was Buzzy the hummingbird,
See,
you know.
the first time I tried a monster drink was about 3 years ago. And I tried it the first time, drank the whole monster drink, and passed out 5 minutes after I finished it.
Mm.
Not
So,
my
I
heart
can't
didn't
do
stop,
any
I
of that
just went to
stuff.
sleep.
well, you've always said you were wired backwards.
Pretty much.
That would almost prove it. And there goes Nathan for coffee. I know it's coffee because it's Nathan.
Yeah.
But for the things that will wake you to what you have been before. If it's like you say, if it's an imagination on your part, you will not have a heart reaction to it.
No, you won't.
If it is a reincarnation event, something, a memory, or that sort of thing, when you think of it, it will bring you to tears. It just does that, and I couldn't tell you why.
I mean, Lynn Ann there can attest to some of the memories being problematic, being caused by movies.
Yeah,
at least on my end.
Their pain, and what we were talking about Atlantis. I remember being on the ship. I remember looking out onto there was a foyer, there was a porch of sorts, and suddenly the doors slam shut, and we are thrust so hard that I'm thrown to the floor and pinned there.
Well, the only reason I survived that little exodus was because 6 people hit the wall before I did.
You landed on them like I did.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the sudden emergence into space and floating. I hit the ceiling so hard it bloodied my face. I know it did because I could taste the blood. I could smell it. People were killed outright.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
And I realized that Frank was on the face of the planet, and I was in the only escape pod there was.
Well, we weren't exactly planning on leaving.
No, we weren't. And I can remember throwing myself against the door and screaming. You know, it's pain. It's just even the memory of it is pain. Which is, I think, why we don't remember in this life, because we're here for something else.
Well, that's just it. Some of us remember it because we're here because of the memories.
Mm-hmm.
And to help other people go, okay, yeah, you're going through heck, but it is possible. But getting them to trigger is sort of something that is as individual as somebody's feeling towards some food, towards any foods. It's just a personal thing that is triggered by any number of possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. These are, and I would say also, be awfully careful about what you wish for.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, when it may be something that would have been far better left alone.
Yeah, there are some memories that I've got that it would be like I can't remember yesterday, but I can remember 200 years ago.
I totally relate to that. You know, I wonder sometimes if the bits and pieces and details we're to a place now where write it down, the heck with remembering it. You know?
That's what I strongly recommend. I've actually physically documented, I think, 18 lifetimes on this planet.
Right.
The sad part is most of them end up showing up as the civilization dies.
Well, and isn't that a triggering event by itself?
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, I'd love to work in it, to walk along and just go, I haven't got a clue what's going on. But unfortunately, I can see it as clear as day.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and I'm watching, the day-to-day things that, it's little foolish things like, I don't know.
Okay.
It can be the least mundane thing. And yet, I've been through that before. I relate that to here to there and the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
And and literally can logic the thing out to its final conclusion.
Yeah.
So
but
often,
I hate to do this, guys. I'm going to have to call it night because, well, frankly, I'm starting to see double.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
seeing two of me is probably not the best thing in the world.
Which isn't?
Seeing two of me is not the best thing in the world.
Well, when I was drinking, it was fine. I'd see three, and then I'd just grab the middle drink.
I'm not sure what happened to Shadow.
I don't know.
He had to pop
I'm
out.
here. I just when I go to downstairs, I always
You never
cut
know
off my
what you're gonna
camera.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna run into. First thing,
Hey, Keith,
my
before you
stepdaughter.
go,
Yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go
just,
ahead. It's fine.
Sorry, I just didn't know when Keith was going to pop out. I try to watch the show every time it comes on, and at the very least, I'm going to pop in and say howdy. But sometimes, because of the time that you're on, it's like my family's dinner time and stuff, and we have usually a no devices at the dinner table rule, so got to keep the little guy, on the straight and narrow, if you know what I mean. So,
And honestly, it's what I recommend people do is turn their audio, their electronics off, and sit and actually find out who's on the other side of the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my best as a dad to do that, but sometimes I just, it's just, it's the timing, and I do a bunch of other shows that are at 5:30 when, like, an hour after your show starts. So I've got like 2-3 shows a week that are an hour after your show starts. So just know that at the very least, I'm going to come in, say howdy, and let it run, so you get all the good numbers and stuff. But I really dig your show, and
I appreciate that.
Hopefully I get to chat with you a little bit more in the near future.
I do appreciate that there, Shadow. I've been trying to pop into the other shows and what have you, but my schedule is screwy as heck.
Well, dude, thanks for hanging out all this time. It's been hours now, and I can imagine seeing double after being on this long too.
I've been on since 4:30 this afternoon.
Holy cow!
Pretty much solid.
Not gonna brag, but I had an online game started 10:30 this morning and stopped moments before I came on with you guys. I was on 9 hours playing an online D&D game through StreamYards, and it was actually a lot of fun. That's why I missed the earlier show. So, but
I still play tabletop game.
Out of 9 characters, 6 died.
Nicely done.
Good game.
Best game I ran was one day we had 8 characters and all but 1 died.
Yeah, I was one of the few that didn't die, but I'm running a paladin. Go figure.
That would explain it. Take a dark paladin with, be a dark paladin next time. You can take out the other 2.
Yeah, that's not within my my abilities.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't bring that question up just because I know you're heading out, Keith, and I know that's one for you. But we can talk about it here too.
Okay, Doug.
Okay, but I mean, I want you to answer it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a note.
What was the question?
If there are aliens out there, all of this transhumanism and AI must leave them amused and frightened.
Or be part of their plan.
Very true.
Well, number one, all this transhumanism and what have you, the basic conception is quit trying to separate. The biggest problem that any of them have is we keep getting asked when they're going to be able to become a part of the Galactic Consortium. And the general consensus is this: if you keep finding ways to separate yourself into smaller and smaller and more disconnected groups, you're not.
Right.
Because one of the primary quantifiers for joining the interstellar community is to become a one world, to link in one world, not to have a single ruler, but to have a community that people realize that no matter where you are, no matter who you are, you're still of value. You're still part of that community. But mankind is going the other direction.
Well, I think I agree with you on that totally.
But it's not part of their plan. They didn't actually set this up.
I think being absolutely
the off-world's
connected.
primary interest is that from a xeno-socioeconomic standpoint, this is a fantastically interesting time.
You ain't just whistling Dixie.
Yeah, it is. And it can go either way.
That's what's got their attention. We're either going to make it past this or we're going to end up putting ourselves back to literally the Stone Age.
Yep.
Because most of the technology in today's world is on computer. One solid subquantum EMP pulse, and we don't have any of it.
It's very true.
Which means your mining techniques have got all this in motion. Your plastics creation and formation, and all the chemistry that goes with medical, all goes out the window.
You're right. I would rather see us pull our collective head out and begin to work with one another.
Well, that would be nice.
Unfortunately, there's two very distinct factions. People who want to come together and people who want to keep it divisive.
Right.
Yep.
GI was
that was a really
three
good
different factions.
Yeah.
Those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and the massive majority that stand there wondering what happened.
Well, you forgot about the other group, the group that just takes credit for it all.
Oh, okay. I think that's usually in part of the ones that just wonder what happened. Of course, usually they go, "It's not my fault."
Yeah. Oh, it's a politician. Yeah. Anyway. You know what my definition of politician is? Well, it's Greek for poly and tick for little blood-sucking creatures. So
yeah. The funny part is there is not a soul in existence, and especially not amongst humans. There is not one of them that is not a politician.
That's an interesting idea. Not one of them.
Not a one.
I don't get it.
Take a look at what a politician does.
Yes.
They talk about what they desire to have happen, and they try and convince people, okay, one way or the other, either by their own actions, and that's rare, usually by talking about what should be done and them not changing anything. But there are the few politicians that are honest and above board.
You know one of those?
I can think of two that I've seen do something that was absolutely above board. One was a Canadian politician, the other one was an American one.
Mm-hmm. I know one on a local level, and that's it.
I'm gonna put a name out there that everybody's gonna go, "Oh no, he wasn't an honest one." Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, he was.
When he first got into office, he said, "Look, we've got a mess. I can either cut social programs, or I can raise your taxes. Your call." They said, "Keep the social programs," so he raised the taxes. That's honesty at its utmost.
Sure was.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
I forget the gentleman. It was a politician working out of BC, out of British Columbia, Canada, that made the comment when he was asked why he went into politics.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "I got into politics to make a name for myself." Right? He never specified whether it was a good name or a bad name. But he
guess
did
he
make a
got-
name for himself.
Yeah, he got his goal, right? At least partially.
Well, he never
You can't
specified
remember
whether
him.
it was good or bad.
But you can't remember him, so he must not have done too good a job with it.
I can't remember half the people I run into.
For sure.
You know.
James L., thanks for
James
coming
is in the chat. Welcome, James.
Hey, buddy, how's my favorite Australian?
Well, James, whatever you do, don't take it personally, but I gotta go before I start seeing triple here.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't been drinking. Maybe that's the problem, but
You may
Well,
have a point.
Keith, thank you for hanging out for so long and fielding these questions and talking with me about this stuff. And I still am not done with you about the nature of reality, but we'll get on to it later.
it's not my fault.
You did do it, right?
That's not entirely open to that's actually open to debate, but
Okay. You
but no, I will. You know what I should do, Nathan? Is tomorrow is Sunday. Might be a little early for that, but this week I should literally set up a the topic being the nature of reality.
I think it would be
Okay.
great.
You know, oddly enough, I actually cover that in not the book that I'm working, not the Return to Paradise, but where it all began. I actually cover the nature of reality as it applies.
Okay.
Okay, that would be a good topic. I would
Yeah.
do my best to be there live, but
Well,
You
that's
know,
the easiest. That's the easy one from my end. You get to pick the day as long as it's not a Thursday.
oh, you mean on this show or on your show with me?
I can do it either way.
Oh, this is one. I can do Fridays and Saturdays in that case because I work every other day, and you're off. Well, you're off on Thursday. You do your thing on Thursday, and I'm not going to
Yes.
interrupt that. My
Well,
days are Friday
You're
and
right
Saturday,
there.
and I chose Saturday because, well, nobody else is on this time, and I want to go watch
Why don't we
them
do it
too.
next Saturday, guys?
You want to do it this Saturday?
We could, you know what?
Could we?
Saturday, nature of reality. Okay.
I'm just now. Are we doing it on my show or on your show, or are we doing a crossover and just really screw things up?
Let's not screw things up. I screw them up enough on my own.
No help needed, huh?
Yeah, no. I screwed it up twice today. And
Yeah, but you did it so nice and smoothly.
smooth like a pineapple.
So Saturday is the 28th.
Yum. Yeah, that would be Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so I can do Saturday, the 28th. Possibly Saturday into Sunday. Do you want to do, okay, you're falling over there. I can see you stumbling through your office and there, see you're hanging under your chair for dear balance. I get it.
Well, it's either that and see, the problem is if I don't, then you get to watch me disappear from the screen as I hit the floor.
Right, don't want that. We will get through on email and chat on Facebook, and we'll figure out the details after sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but
That sounds
yes,
awesome. Count me
that
in.
sounds like
Okay, doc,
plan.
we will keep you informed as well, Shadow.
yeah. Got to
Always
figure out
good
how
to
we
see
want to
you.
do this. This might be a big show. Never know. A
We are not
premiere.
getting into wrestling.
No, not that kind of big show. Okay, Arky, thank you. This has been
Absolutely.
great, and it just peaked right now. We're like, the nature of reality. Oh, hells yeah.
Yeah, we can work with that easy enough. Okay, doc, guys.
All right,
Good to see you again.
Nice seeing you too.
All right.
talk
Take
to you
care.
soon.
Take
Have a
care.
good week, man.
So we're
Okay.
talking in the chat about owls who are after little creatures, and they're doing it in Australia, I guess.
Yes.
I have an owl that comes by here every 3 days and chats it up and looks for an occasional mouse, and he's gone again. Same thing happens here. But of course, the owl has a lot of different uh, symbology and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
when you get to be friends with one, they don't forget you.
Just like crows.
Mm-hmm.
My little
Joe
dog
had
is scared silly of them.
Joe had two owls that were living in the trees by his house for a long
Uh-huh.
time. I remember that for a
Yeah.
long time.
My
And that was like his bragging rights at the time.
Oh yeah, he had a garden back in the back, and of course Joe always gardens. That's his thing. He's absolutely an expert at it.
Hmm.
And I would reckon the occasional rodent is snoop around for a freebie, and that owl would get it in awful quick hurry.
Yeah.
They usually run in pairs, and like
Mm.
a lot of creatures of that nature, they always have their mate with them. So one gets the attention, the other comes in from the side, and you say, "Ooh, clever girl."
Hmm.
Out of Jurassic Park. But
Hmm.
that's what they are. They're
Frickin' bow.
raptors.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know how. I had to step away. I had to get coffee, and I don't know if y'all answered Bo's talk about uh, how to get back those memories of any kind of
Right.
past lives.
Well,
I
we got a good lot of talking about it in. I don't think
Okay.
that that's the end all of it,
Oh
but
no.
it's a
Oh no.
start. It's a start.
Yeah, but I mean, it really did jump out at me. He should look at the art.
Oh yeah, art.
I mean, that was the phrase. That was the phrase.
Mhm.
Bo, check out old artworks. I don't know. My stuff says Native American and Native South American, Incan, Aztec. Look at those, and it might ring some bells. But that's just, it's just, I mean, it just like, bam, have him look at art or
Well,
look at art.
like Lamlin had mentioned, DNA plays some part in long-term memories,
Yeah.
and they've found this to be true. Um, Look at your own ancestry and see if some of that doesn't ring the bells.
Hmm.
That will do it. I
That can do it. Yeah,
thought
there
that
are a
was
lot
good
of,
information.
yeah, all the triggers aren't bad ones. They aren't all traumatic.
No,
Some of them are like art, music, events,
holding a
certain
child.
sounds, yeah, smells. I mean,
Yeah,
okay, a lot of what of the witch talk, right? What they
yeah,
say
yeah,
is everybody has a clair, and it means clairaudient, clairsentience, clairvoyance.
yeah.
Uh, you got to figure out which one is yours if you think you have one,
Some
because you
people
have one.
actually have tactile memory
Yeah,
where where the
the
hand
feel of stuff, and it just,
foods. Yeah, there Lamlin says foods.
yeah,
And yeah, that's a big trigger because that's so basic to us.
yeah, and it's
Uh,
been around as long as rocks have been around, and
well, Frank and I went to a German restaurant. My background is very German, very Middle European, and a lot of our food growing up was those. When it was good, it was grandma's cooking, and the he took me to a German restaurant in El Paso and literally cried over the schnitzel. You know, it was so good, and the memories just flooded in from from my childhood. So
Right.
and it did for him too. You know, things schnitzel and Wiener schnitzel and oh gee, I've got a whole bunch of things running in my head at once. But you understand,
I
clocky,
do.
and things like that. In this area, uh, being a southwestern culture, um, a simple thing like homemade enchiladas, when they're made
Hmm.
right, they'll bring tears, and I'm not talking about the spicy cooking.
Yeah,
You beat me to
I
that
know
one.
what you mean.
I knew you were thinking. I could hear you thinking.
Well, the funny thing is, I make better enchiladas than my Mexican wife.
That's interesting.
You know what? Something I never told y'all was, me and Maria stumbled upon something that was very interesting. Ever since we were little kids, we would say this thing. It took me a while to figure it out, but I figured out all you need is a good belt, good boots, good knife, and everything else is interchangeable.
Oh, that sounds very, very southern, very
I had
Appalachia.
hold on, it was something else, right? And that's what I settled on. Okay, she never got rid of the backpack part. I mean, I got rid of the backpack part. She never did because I
Yeah,
said that to her, and she was like, "Who told you that? I've been saying that since I was a little girl." I'm like, "Really?
just need the
Isn't that
basics.
interesting?" Yeah,
Y-
but who does that?
Yeah, well, those
Soldiers
things
do
are
that.
very yes.
Soldiers, because
It's
I lived it, right? Good belt, which was the web belt that carried your gear. Good
right.
knife, which I carried a knife anyway. We weren't
Mhm.
required to, but I carried one anyway.
Yeah,
Good
you kind
boots, I mean,
There's
well,
always time to use a knife. There's
right,
always use for it.
right. I mean, I got a reputation for it. I was the only chaplain assistant that was fully armed all the time and off duty and boots. Well, that's a no-brainer, military, right? But
Right.
the backpack part, when I was in high school, I got rid of that in my head because I went through backpacks like crazy in high
Yeah.
school and middle school and just school. I went through backpacks like crazy. The books
well,
got
that's what they
bigger.
make them like crap. They've made them like crap for the last 40 years.
I got a funny story about a backpack. I'll get to it. Okay, but then we both have we both came up with that saying
Yeah.
independently on our own. And okay, even though we're not together anymore, we are what Witch Talk is calling twin flame,
Mhm.
but we're just not good for each other now here.
Yeah. Yeah. You
We're
do
still
better as
friends.
friends. Uh huh.
We're still friends. We're better as
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
But
I've had
we're
far fewer fights with my ex than I ever did before.
right. Right. And we actually get along and we still help each other out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that happened. Now, the backpack story.
You know where that came from, don't you? You know where the saying came from. The Civil War.
It did?
Yes. It may have even come before that during the Revolutionary, but I know it was there during the Civil War.
The phrase that me and her
That
shared?
phrase. That phrase. Yes. That one
I am going to need a
specifically.
source. I
Oh,
want to know a
yeah.
source on that.
A source.
Well, if
Oh,
you have a
geez.
source, I mean, just tell me it and I'll look it up. But I'll look it up because now I want to know.
You know,
But
I'd have to look for it myself, but I'm almost positive, almost, that it was Civil War because
okay,
You don't hear gun, you hear knife.
Right.
Okay?
Right. You hear
That
knife.
sounds not necessarily Civil War, but Mountain Man,
Possibly.
you know.
Um.
But
Okay.
that era of time during the first structure of this country.
Right. And guns were impractical. They were hard to. They were hard to get a hold of. They were hard to manufacture.
Well, they were
Um.
hard to load. I mean, you
Right.
had to
They were
know how to
impractical.
run and load that musket at the same
Yeah, and they weighed
time.
like 40 pounds.
They were heavy. Ah,
Hmm.
Spazel. Hey, howdy. I love Spazel.
Okay, let me tell you this funny story about a backpack. I got a friend. We're still friends. She lives in, I think she's in Montana now. We were in the army together, and I'm going to have to shorten this story because it involves a big lots of stuff, right? But she gave me a
Uh-huh.
backpack. She gave me a backpack, and she is witchy type. Not so
Right.
much anymore, but she is witchy type. She still does the Midwestern stuff, but she
Hmm.
doesn't do like the mirrors, the spirit guides, the
It
herbs. She
doesn't
does the
go
herbs,
away. It just evolves.
right? She
Uh-huh.
doesn't. She's not really into it. She doesn't post about it and make YouTube shows and name them catchy phrases.
No, it's part of her life. Why would she do that? It's just
Right.
like breathing to her, isn't it?
Well, yep. And okay, she gave me this backpack, and I still have it. It's fallen to pieces now, but what happened was at the time she was in a point in her life in the maiden part. She was in the maidenhood of her life, right?
Uh-huh.
And that backpack, I swear it was indestructible. Okay. It was, I would keep it in the car. I would hike with it when I did hikes. This was a long time ago. I kept everything in it. The zippers never busted. The seams never tore. It was like, this thing is enchanted. And that's what come to me. And then all of a sudden
Uh-huh.
one day, it started to fall apart. I mean, I could watch it. I could have it sitting on the bed and watch the seam come apart on it.
The
And
spell
the
gave
the
way.
little buckle, yeah, the buckle would just snap and it's broken. And I'm like, what? The zipper, right? The zipper, the whole it just seemed to age like that. I was like, what is
Yeah.
going on? And then a couple of days ago go by and she announced she had a baby. She had left maidenhood and entered motherhood.
Uh-huh.
So she had that old magic spell on that thing, and it was instinctive. It wasn't she did it on purpose.
Oh no. Everything had to be focused on the child.
Right. It was imbued on the bag. It was like she put her own brand of mojo on it just
Yeah.
by imbuing it unintentionally.
Well,
And then when she, huh?
with spell work in particular, and I've done a lot of that, you know that.
Same.
With spell work, most spells have a certain length of time that they're to go to.
Hmm.
Whether it's a short spell or a long one, it's up to the person casting.
Right.
But then
This
you
I
turn and you do something like an item like that, and you enchant it. It it almost always has a length of service. But
yeah.
if the material it's made of, and there's part of your reality thing right there, the
Hmm.
material it's made of can only last so long, and
Right.
that it went boom at the same time. The spell broke, the material broke, everything broke, and
Right.
she transitioned into
Right.
her next
That's what
phase of
happened.
life.
Right. She didn't perform a spell on it. She imbued it when she
Hmm.
owned it and she used it. She imbued it with it.
It was intention. Uh-huh.
Right. And
And
then
those
when
are the
her
best
situation
ones.
changed, yeah, when her situation changed, the spell was broken and no more protection, no more plus one backpack.
Right,
It
right.
was it was just a
It just
regular backpack
literally,
now.
it
And
literally just went to its entire age all in the same moment.
that seemed to be exactly what happened because I mean, it literally fell apart in front of me when I wasn't even touching it. I
Yeah,
mean, I watched a seam just
yeah,
open up.
yeah.
It didn't rip open. It just kind of like gave up the ghost, so to speak. It just went and the
Well,
buckle just I heard a snap because it was one of those cheap metal buckles. I heard snap
right.
and the buckle was broken. I'm like, what is?
Very few spells outlast the person that cast them.
Oh yeah,
Very
I
few
know, but this was
intentions with magic, or very few intentional things like this is going to last forever. That was an intentional spell of
right,
sorts. But
right.
when they reach the end of their ability, and say the witch or the magical person that does it comes to the end of their uh, one of the hardest things in the world to do is to give birth, because every single one of the pain level is the same as breaking every bone in your body. Okay, that in
Yeah,
itself can break spells. So we're
yeah.
we're asked a question here. What do we think of chaos magic? Gee, you'll have
Okay,
to quantify it better than that for me.
okay. To me, I hear chaos magic, and I hear um, eclectic, everything. Not chaos like using the forces of chaos, but not
Hmm.
sticking to a certain discipline. That's
Well,
what
I
I
think
hear.
that sort of describes Frank and I, because we're
Same.
about as chaotic as you can make it. We've studied a number of different traditions, if you will. The tradition being the Nordic trad, some of things like that. You know, Celtics are another one. Um, we've studied a lot of different kinds of magic, but my favorite magic of all times is from the time I first learned of magic, and that was from a movie called The Raven. And
Hmm.
the protagonist of the program, of course, was Vincent Price, and he could do magic by gesture, and that is part and parcel of chaos magic. Just say it
Hmm.
is so, and it is. And
Okay.
that's manifesting. That's chaos magic.
She, yeah. Okay. She is also saying, okay, this is something I covered in another show. I
Mhm.
covered this in another show. It was uh, golems, tulpas, and AI,
I
Mhm.
remember that
and
one.
that was the show. Yeah, that was a
Mhm.
really good show, and I need to go back and revisit that again in a more structured manner.
I don't think I saw
Howdy,
that.
dog face. Long time no see, man.
It was a while ago. It was
That
one of the first
would
ones.
some of the magics in say like D&D and some of the role playing games are very effective.
Hmm. Oh boy.
They're
And
quite real, but it really takes the power of the individual to make them go.
right, you have to believe in it, and
Yeah. Oh,
that's
I don't know. I don't believe in electric switch. All I gotta do is just flip the switch, right? I don't need to know electronics. I don't need to know electric. I don't need to know any of those things. All I gotta do is know how to flip the switch.
But you know what? Somebody believes in it. A lot of
Somebody,
people believe in it,
yes,
and we reap the benefits from it.
we do, and we make that magic happen every day.
Yep.
But personally, that magic has gone from magic into science, into appliance. And I like the word appliance because it applies the science
Yeah.
appliance, you know?
Hmm.
And,
Never
you
thought of it
know,
that way.
all magic is something that once we realize how to work it and how to work it on a consistent basis, it becomes science then, and from science it becomes an ability that is more of a thing that a muggle, as you like to say, can work.
A
So,
trait.
Lamblin, I've seen it more times than I can count.
oh yeah, oh yeah, I have as well. Oh goodness, imagine
Well, I think
accidentally
she.
casting a spell playing as an evil character. Do you have that intention?
I
Because
think.
intention is what drives it.
Yeah. Intention it drives it. I know her in real life, y'all. She's a character
Mhm.
actor. She gets into it. What do they call that? Not a character actor, but a method actor. When it comes
Okay.
to, I remember Lamblin. Yeah, looking at you. I remember
Yeah,
when.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of putting her on the spot, that doesn't quite count as a smiley face there, Lamblin. You know what I'm talking about?
I was. You were so deep into your book. It was one of the pre Knights of the Old Republic, I believe, and everything was Sith. I was there.
Right,
I
and
talked to you,
she literally
and
becomes the character, doesn't she?
she does.
Uh
She
huh.
and I do the same thing. I do the same thing.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you
was
should to
there.
get a really good game going.
Hmm. I was there, and she was reading one of the books. I can't remember which one. This was about 2 years ago, maybe two or three. Darth Bane, yeah. And I said something like the Force is with me, and she started going on me. She's like,
Oh, that's
the
fun.
Force? You don't understand the Force. The Force is what you want it to do. You can make it. And I was like, oh, okay. What did I walk into?
Please let me live. You know. you know
um,
it, but you're absolutely right. You know, you get you take all of those factors when you play a game, you become that person
hmm.
and you make a spell. If you power that thing with intention, you could have those results, but you won't in a game.
Right,
But you take it into your life, and say you need to manifest a particular, oh, we'll say prism uh, pencils. Those are not too common, especially not right now. And you want those, to do your artwork with and that sort of thing, and you need it. You need to power up your artist person. That person needs those pencils for his artwork, and will have them. They'll just have them. You throw that intention in there, and you start the hunt. Wherever you are, your eye is open for that set of prism pencils,
hmm.
and they will come up.
Yeah,
And it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but generally speaking, depending on your force of intention, it will hit within the month almost every time. Almost.
manifestation, quantum level.
Manifest, quantum level manifestation. Now, when you do something like that, you need to be very clear about what it is you're after. Uh, I, I will, the vacuum sweepers.
Hmm.
I needed a vacuum sweeper. I needed that thing. I say a prism pencil simply as a as a example of something to go after.
He doesn't know what a prism pencil is.
A prism
Nor do I.
pencil's the best colored pencil you can buy. Okay, it's
Prism's
really
the brand?
coveted. Prism's the brand. It's very coveted among the people who illustrate and who do drawings. Very coveted, and it's hard to find them. It really is. So, the vacuum sweeper. Okay, I needed a vacuum. My vacuum went to heaven on the short track. I needed it. I needed it for
Silicon
my home.
heaven?
Pardon me?
Silicon heaven?
Silicon heaven?
It's a joke.
I'm sorry. I don't
It's okay.
get it.
Red dwarf. Where do all the calculators go?
Oh,
Prismacolor. Oh, I said it wrong. I'm sorry, Frank. This is a critter that Frank loves. So I always have an eye out for it. It's a Prismacolor. Best stuff you can get. Anyway, Frank likes to do a lot of drawing. So I need the vacuum sweeper. I put it out to the universe. The vacuum is here now. I've got to have it. I've got sweeping to do. Damn it, I ended up with 24 vacuum sweepers within the space of 2-week time. I kid you not. 24 of the damn things. And I couldn't shut it off. I really, played very hell trying to get it shut off. And then Joe said, dum da 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 dum da dum da dum da 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 dum da dum, via Fantasia and a certain sorcerer's apprentice who empowered brooms. And they just kept getting more and more and more.
yeah.
So, we had to figure out, but I've told the family, don't you dare come home with a vacuum sweeper.
Whenever I am manifesting something, I make sure to set an end goal, and then it stops right there. Like, my manifestations have been day to day. They haven't been along big ones because they tend to overrun, right?
Right, just like I just described.
Right. When I was in El Paso, I was into vintage computing, and I still am. I got the Atari over here.
I remember.
And I still am, but I was just starting all the pagan thinking, right?
Right.
And I didn't have a word manifesting in my vocabulary like I do now. And I said, man, I can't find any computers. I want the computers. I'm going to find the computers.
Yes.
Find them I did.
Oh, boy.
And I got, before I knew it, I filled up a bedroom.
Yeah, and it's not that hard to do, but boy, you kick that into high gear.
Yeah,
and
I didn't.
You end up with 24 vacuum sweepers. And
yeah.
And it wasn't that I had just started manifesting. I hadn't. This was a newbie mistake done by somebody who knew how to manifest. So it really went haywire.
Right.
Since then I would say, you have to look at the thing that you wish to manifest. I won't say want, because that creates a vacuum of sorts into that mindset where there is need. There is no need in the universe. There just isn't.
Right. Yeah, we talked about this first, or in the beginning of the second hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joe was there with me because I was doing that, and I was like, man, I'm going to find these computers. And I
remember.
And then a museum called us and says, "Hey, we're closing down an exhibit. Come get all of these computers. We have like 32." And I'm like, "Whoa, what?"
Oh, did your greed kick in?
Yeah, but something kicked in because I had
Yeah.
computers, all kinds of eras. It was a museum piece, so it was a setup. So they had like all the eras of computers. I got a teletype. I got a word processor. Everything showing the progression of computers from.
Oh
I think the
my.
oldest one, yeah, the oldest PC that I had was an Epson 100, and it was
Uh-huh.
one of those little keyboard things that had a dot matrix printer built into it, like a receipt printer.
Yeah, I
It was
remember
so
those.
cool. It was so cool. I
Yeah.
loved that thing. I learned to program in BASIC on it,
Yeah.
and that was like the first one. And then it went all the way to I think as Pentium 2. So I had
Right,
like
right.
32, 34 computers, all complete with accessories, every cable. I had Ataris, Commodores, Toshibas, freaking. If it fit in
IBM.
the, I had an IBM something. I don't remember what it was. It was probably just one of the big metal boxes
One
that
of
they
the old
had.
one of the old spin ball ones.
Mm, I did not have one of those.
Okay.
I didn't have one. And everything that would fit in our Jeep Cherokee, it would fit. And or no, at the time, this was before the Jeep. I had my truck.
Yeah.
I
I was
had
gonna
I
say a
had
Jeep was later, wasn't it?
yeah, the Jeep was much later, and I had that red truck, and I filled it up. Joe was carrying two. They were behind the seat. They were in the bed, and I had to take the tarp off. I had a covered
Right.
bed, right, and I had to
I'm
like stack it up.
I'm gonna step away for a second and I'm gonna leave Frank in my spot. Okay?
Okay,
'Cause he
Not a
loves
problem.
this sort of thing.
okay. You on, Frank? Not yet. There he is.
Not yet.
Okay.
All right, here we are. Uh,
Okay. Bo is asking, I didn't have an IBM 5100, did I? I was like, you know what? I think I did, but it just mysteriously disappeared one day. uh, y'all might not know the story of John Teeter. I think that's what he's referring to. Y'all don't know the story of John Teeter, right?
No.
not
Oh
we know
boy.
of.
Well, you don't know it either?
No.
Oh, okay. In a nutshell, in the mid 90s, right? Uh, in the mid 90s, some forum posts started popping up. And it was this guy who was claiming to be a time traveler. His handle was John Teeter. John,
Oh yeah, yeah,
generic.
yeah. I totally remember.
Okay, John Teeter. Well,
Mhm.
for Frank then. And he would drop little hints of what happened in the future. And it was his family. He was in the military in like a few more years from now, 2050, I think,
Mhm.
2054, something like that. And we discovered a way to time travel. And in his timeline, Y2K had actually been a thing, right?
Okay.
Okay, Y2 thing had been a thing. And what they needed was a computer
Right.
that could talk between the new computers and the old servers because they had built out the connection. Well, that didn't happen here. We figured it out, but it is a real unpublished thing from IBM that the 5100. Here's the deal: IBM was selling mainframes, the big box computers, right? I mean, like it took a room to run. IBM
I
was selling
remember
the
those.
mainframes. Uh-huh. And the 5100, all of a sudden, it was speaking a kind of Unix that allowed, and it had a feature in it, in its something, right? That allowed the old to talk to the new with ease. Not super easy, like not like Map Network Drive or anything, but it was easy to get them to talk. And they didn't publish that. And when the story started permeating the internet, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
one of now this was recently, right? This was fairly recently, way after the IBM 5100's time. The engineers that worked on the IBM 5100 came forward, already retired, and said, yes, that was a feature. And they didn't publish it because they didn't want to bankrupt they didn't want to piss off their customers. It's called the Osborne effect, right? By the way, the Osborne effect happened much later, right? And but now they know it as the Osborne effect. They didn't want to undercut their own sales and have these people trading out their 30, 40, $50,000 machines for a desktop that was a fraction of the price and a fraction of the operating costs. So John Teeter, adult John Teeter, I'll get back to that, right? Adult John Teeter got the computer and took off, and he was never heard from again. Nowhere. Now, supposedly, well, in reality, he is alive now, and he is, I think he's in his late 20s, early 30s, because he was like 14 in the year, this was like 97, and he was like 14 years old. Lamblin, what's that?
She's taking
Okay.
off for the night.
All right.
Have a great
Lamblin,
Sunday.
thanks for coming by. I need to come see you at some point and hang out and pester you at work. Thank you for coming by. Keep it quantum. But that's the story of John Teeter. And the parents have said they don't want anybody talking to him. They don't want to talk to him about it. And he can't remember any of it. Of course, it hasn't happened because it's not 2050 yet.
How can he remember things that haven't
Right.
happened yet? You know,
Well,
the White Files did a bit on him a couple months back, I think.
yeah.
But their take on it is always to debunk it. But
Well, it's so easy. You know what? It's so easy to debunk stuff because the stuff
I know.
never happened, right? The stuff that he said was going to happen never happened. And it's so easy to debunk something like that. But nobody dreams up a crazy story like that and then disappears and doesn't reap the reward from it. You know, that is.
Well, I've noticed with that show, as entertaining as it is, it it it, for the most part, it might as well be controlled opposition. I
Mhm.
love the show, but the latter quarter of the show is usually filled with debunking attempts that I know flat out oftentimes are just BS. But it
That's
is an entertainment.
that's probably why it hasn't come up in my recommended stuff.
Well, Lynn has returned, so I'm going to hand it back over to her.
Oh, well,
And
I didn't mean to step all over you. Thanks,
no
man.
problems. So I'll hand it back over to her, and I'll be listening on my cell phone.
Okie doke.
Cool, man.
Keep it quantum.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, Bo is saying a super fun story. Call me dubious. Well, that's the nutshell version. The story is deep.
Thanks, sweetie.
There is a lot of details. So it is johnteeter.com, and that is now a show note.
Here we are.
Right, Bo.
Okay. But
sorry about that, but I needed to leave right then.
I
I
gotcha.
totally understand that.
Y'all, I'm starting to wind down myself, and I'm like
Yeah.
losing my trains of thought here. Because for me, it's 1:30 in the morning, and I had a long day.
Yeah, it's 12:30 here. I would like to point out one thing before we go.
Hmm.
When one is manifesting, it's very poignant to remember that whatever deity that you go with, whether it's God, God and Goddess, or the universe as a generic term, it's
Hmm.
important to include them in your plans because they keep things from happening that are untoward. Such as, you may want something very badly, but it might be the absolute worst thing for you.
Hmm.
And they stand between you and disaster. So it's important to include them in your plans.
Hmm.
Just
We're gonna have
as a
to
thought.
dissect that. Yeah, we're gonna have to dissect that statement a little bit more another time.
Later.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good one. What does that mean? I'm
It
gonna write that
means
down.
it means just exactly what it sounds like. Manifesting has a great deal of responsibility to it, or else you end up with 24 vacuum sweepers you don't need.
Right.
You know, I know of another person who needed a certain book, and they ended up with several copies of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm always
you
buying
know.
books, so you know where to find me.
I'm sorry.
I'm always buying books, so you know where to find me.
Oh, Frank and I love books. They're the windows to opportunity in the future. So,
Yep.
anyhow, thank you very much for including me. I appreciate it.
You know you're always welcome here.
I have a good time, and
Okay.
I have a little bit to share once in a while.
Yeah, and I want to hear about it. You know, I really want to hear about it.
I'm a
We
happy
just.
camper. I enjoy it. You asked about a hypnotist. I
Yes.
know a hypnotist that is of our persuasion, so to speak, very spiritual,
Hmm.
and is probably one of the best manifestors I've ever met. And she is a hypnotist. She's done a lot of things in her life, and her name is Elizabeth Rose. And she's probably still in Google. If she
That
isn't,
name
if
sounds
she,
familiar.
it should. It's a woman that was in Hazy Radio, and
Hmm.
I was on her show several times, uh, discussing this subject. We've talked about this for years. Only gotten better at it.
I will have to look her up.
And Bo has said, I do think it was a desire to connect that may have led me to shadow. Probably.
Everything happens for a reason, buddy.
Sure does.
I answered him. It was definitely a thing that led you here.
Yeah. Well, we're all
I think I am.
interconnected. We need each other,
Oh
and we
yeah.
need to understand we need each other. And I'll tell you, Keith is one of a kind. He really is.
Yep.
And
You know
if I
Go ahead.
if I knew anybody in the world who's gotten me to a place where I understand more about manifesting, about life in general, it's him. He's taught me a great deal. And every person I've ever run into has always given me more than I ever came with.
Hmm.
So,
I know what you mean.
yeah. So anyway, and that includes you and Shadow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm with you. I need to wind down because I'm looping.
Yeah.
And I'm loopy.
Hey,
Yeah.
2023 has only just started.
Oh please,
Pace yourself.
don't start with me. Not this later. Just don't start with me.
Just pace yourself. Trust me.
Okay.
I will talk with you sometime this week, Nathan, to try to get in touch with Dorothy.
Okay.
Because she and I have
took a
some
note.
things to discuss.
Yeah, I took a note to hook you all together on Twitter.
You
and
cannot
email.
You cannot connect me with Twitter. I
Okay,
don't
well, no.
use it.
Facebook, I'll figure something out.
I
I'm a
don't have
communications
Facebook.
guy.
I absolutely shut down about 6 months ago.
Well, Frank does.
Everything. Frank does, but Lynn Ann doesn't.
Okay.
I had to shut down. I got seriously ill, and I needed all my strength to get back. So sometimes you just gotta just put you first.
Yeah, sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Because I got you. Okay, well.
So and I brought myself back, so I'm cool.
Yeah. Okay,
all right,
well.
Thank you again.
Hey, too easy. Get some rest. See you next time. Keeping it quantum. I know you are.
Oh, absolutely. You both have a very good evening.
Thank
I will
you.
catch you soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. Bye-bye. Alrighty then. Woo! James is gone. Dang it. James is not in the chat
find
anymore.
him later.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
find him later. I know where to get a hold of him. I'll ring his.
Ring his neck? Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? This has been a great show. I hope the discussion was good. I know we kind of went on tangents and one-liners, but that's okay. That's the name of the game. What do we call that around here? We call it quantum. That's the way it works. So I love holding up those little signs, by the way, just so everybody knows. It does something. It hits those hormones in the brain that every time I grab a sign, I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, a few more things, but let's take them backstage because the show is over. It's been 2.5 hours over, and I did a first hour too. So it was a good show. It was the best show since the last show.
And they only keep getting better.
Yeah.
I did more than 12 hours, 10:30 to 11:30, so 13 hours. Yeah.
Of being online, yeah. Okay. All right. Well.
And I got 2 more shows tomorrow.
You're crazy man. You're a crazy man.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a work day.
No,
yeah, tomorrow's.
But no, just me and the boy have some shows together finally. Yeah. Get spend some time together.
Those are important. Okay, well, everybody in the chat and the audience, obligatory, hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment after the show. Demand a T-shirt. Demand a coffee mug or something. Promotional keychain. Working on it. Everybody's talking merch. I'm talking merch too. I just don't know what I want to do yet. I got all the stuff lined up. I've got options. I just don't know what I want to do yet. But thanks for joining in the chat, joining in the talk. I tried to catch as many comments as I could. And yeah, we're a pretty good enlightened audience in here. Second only to Goof On, the best audience. I'm one of them, see. I'm one of them. So that's what I'm saying. Goof On. Goof On. Okay, Monty says bye. Bye, everybody. Let's see in the chat. Have a good one, Bo. Have a good night, Dogface. And who else is all still here? Let me see. Who all is still here? Participants. Come on, participants.
James is
Oh, my
probably
goodness.
out there lurking with his elf ears.
Oh, yeah. I got 4 participants, and I'm one of them. So, everybody, have a good night. Thanks for coming to the Quantum Show. It's been a blast. I love this stuff. And I've got a couple of shows in mind. People want to get Maria back. I've gotten listener requests to bring Maria back to talk about her experiences. And I want to do that. She doesn't want to be on camera. And I'm trying to tell her how to do this. You don't have to be on camera. All you have to do is go, uh,
Boop.
bloop, just a little bloop, and the camera is off. But you can still hear me. And that is perfect. You don't even need an icon. See?
Or you know what? Let me give a shout out to a friend's channel, Janet from Another Planet. She uses one of those filters that cartoonizes herself. She might get a kick out of that. Go check out Janet from Another Planet, and maybe ask her what filter system she uses. But there's you can give yourself funny faces and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
I know a
maybe that'll
couple of
work
those.
for her, and give her a couple of giggles while she's doing it.
Okay.
Janet certainly enjoys it. So do all her friends who watch her. Never know. Or you can just
Okay. I'll check her out. Yep. I'll check her out. Okay. But that has been the Quantum Show. Everybody, thanks for coming in, listening, participating. Y'all, keep it quantum. Have a good rest of the night.
take care, everybody.